What do you see? Look at along the coastal area. As you see, this is in our University of Andres. It's our coastal area. And as you can see on the side of the trees, you can see things here. You can see Casuarinas. Like I always like to talk about Casuarina trees. That's my love. That's my love. I like Caribbean pine trees too. But I like to talk about Casuarina trees because it's important. Because all of the podcasts that you normally hear me talk about, mostly now dealing with Casuarina trees, other trees too. But Casuarina trees is very important. And hi there. Yours truly here again, doing a lecture. I like to give you positive feedbacks and what you asked me to talk about. And so today, I'm talking about, again, on the beach or on the seashore, Casuarina trees. And as you can see here, as tide is coming up here in the ecosystem of our university, largest university around, right? But you can see the various stones and the rocks here along the coastal areas. And normally when you see along the coastal areas, I like to show you that we talk about how we talk about Casuarina trees. And I will walk around here to get a better view of what you're looking at, because I want you to see some things. I like to continually talk, continuous to talk about various trees that you see along coastal areas. And like I said, when you look here, you see this tree here. First tree comes what? Along the seashore. They call it invasive species, just like the Casuarina trees. They want them up. This is a Hawaiian sea grape, sea lettuce, they call it. And you can see here, that's the blossom right there. Blossoms on the tree. And when they now when they get larger or matured, they normally have a little pod or a little, like I say, look more like a cabbage. And as I'm walking here along the coastal areas, now when you look at these trees also produces in terms of the rooting system. Now I want to show you something what I came in the back here to show you, dealing with here. Normally on the beachfront areas of our ecosystem, you can find out that you have Casuarina trees. That, like I said, I always like to talk about Casuarina trees because they play a very important part. They got a lot of benefits. They're high in vitamin C. It was said that the seed of it can be eaten. I mean, for those who would like it, right? But it's high in vitamin C. But it's also good. It also lowers pHs, and pHs mean it got lime. So that's one of the reasons why I like to be around the sea, right? And as you can look here, two trees you always find on beaches. You find Casuarina trees and sea grape trees. They're always side by side, and you wonder why that is. Because why? Like I always like to say to you again, what I normally talk about, you don't normally hear none of the other places in the marine science really talk about. But what happens is, the both trees are responsible. See here, let me back to this tree. You can see here, with the various pods. You can see the pods there, or the little thing look like little beads like seeds. They call it a sea lettuce, a sea cabbage. Some call it a Hawaiian sea grape because it's found in Hawaii. Like I said, and the sea grape trees are always found on mostly coastal islands, but they don't always be in every place. Only some places have them and some don't. But then Casuarina trees make it up. Now, when you look at the landscape, you find that Casuarina trees, see those birds? Yeah, as Casuarina trees, you can find them growing around. Something else you normally see, again, wash over on the seashores. You see Casuarina trees. And when you see them poisonous thing, because they are on the sea coast, they're thinking they have no benefits. But everything has a benefit and contributions. Now what happens is that the Casuarina trees will be broken down, even though they look like junk and look like nothing there. But they would be broken down by the weather and the elements, would break it right down. And you can see as the Casuarina trees, normally by the sea, they normally get this rough say, bark on it. And as they die out, same thing as they died, you can see here, just a bare trunk. And once it dies out, it will be broken down. Then of course, you'll normally see with it. See that? That's one of our turkey vultures. That's our turkey vultures. When I first came to Andrews, I like to talk a story, but when I first came to Andrews, I never knew what they were. I saw them in the movies. Not they normally be, brown. But what happened was, when I first came to Andrews, I didn't know what they were. I saw this thing flew from the back of the yard, black and red head and red like something at the bottom. I said, look at that turkey. The person said, yeah. I said, see it there. He said, that ain't no turkey. I said, what that is? He said, that's a buzzard. I said, what that is? I said, what that is? And when they said there's a buzzard, right? And then they said, a buzzard. I said, what that is? He said, that's those things that eat dead things. I said, oh, that's what turkey vulture is. Now, like I talk about, back to this area, Casuarina trees. And as you can see here, up there, now this portion, this here, this is called a termite nest. And this is here designed to come, and the termites will crawl out, and they will eat this tree down. This tree will breaks down to become what? Fertilizer. And as you look at this aspect of the termite nest, as you look at it a little closer, and as I pick a piece up, just for you to see, this here, this will be broken down. This will be broken down and turned right back into nice top soil, nice top brown soil. So it plays a very important part in the ecosystem. Nothing goes to waste. Nothing goes to waste, right? And as I walk along this coastal area in the university yard doing this research, like I said, I love to bring you facts. The other environmentalists, the other podcasts also in this field, I'm in the field of marine science. It gives you great benefits. I give you great benefits of understanding your environment. So like, subscribe, and share, right? I'll leave you with our beautiful waters in our islands of Andrews here. I'll leave you this so that you can see. We have a beautiful coastal areas, yes. You see the rocks and everything, but it plays a very important part in the ecosystem. Nothing is here just to say so. I want you to like, subscribe, and share, man.